Hello, seniors. It's Russ Godfrey, the Rowdy Dog. I have a very special guest with us today. Her name is Jennie, and I'm Jennie. I don't want to mess up your last name. How do we pronounce your last name?
Oh, it's really easy. Thanks for inviting me on. It's actually pronounced shoe, like the shoe you wear. The H is silent, so.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure. But Jennie is one of the inner circle members with me in the Entre Institute Inner Circle. And I wanted to bring her on to give, Jennie, my audience is seniors and all about senior health and wellness. And I know you're really passionate about these things and about the health and how we move forward with our health as we age and try to get ahead of illness and things that can come up in our life instead of having to deal with it after the fact, which is a lot harder. So Jennie also is starting it's called Wellness Lifestyle.
Just Wellness Visions.
Wellness Vision, yeah, and it's a new YouTube channel that she is developing, and we wanted her to come on and talk to us about that and about her vision. And she is a physician, so she knows what she's talking about and has many years of experience in this. And with that, Jennie, I'd like for you to just kind of give a little bit of background and where you're wanting to take your channel and kind of put forth the vision that you're bringing forth.
Well, thank you, Russ, so much. I have been a primary care doctor for about almost like 20 years going, and I really believe in just prevention and wellness, and that's kind of been my passion for years. And I've taken care of folks of all ages from as young as 16 up to over 100. So, wow. But, most of the folks I see being an internal medicine doctor are, folks probably more 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And right. So I really know what some of the challenges are for folks, for seniors. And right. I'm, very glad to kind of see that I have some very healthy, active seniors. They go on sometimes to second careers, just like you, Russ, so I kind of commend you for that.
Thank you.
But, they're staying active and they're living well. And one of the things that really kind of sparked my interest in kind of lifestyle wellness was that a few years ago, I started getting into like what makes people really healthy and well. And there's a lot of great information out there. For example, there's a National Geographic project called the Blue Zones Project. I don't know if you've heard of that before, Russ. We could certainly send a link down, but this is a project done probably a decade ago. They studied kind of the people who live the longest and healthiest around the world. So they looked at, places like Okinawa, Japan, where the most number of women live past 100. They looked at Sardinia, Italy, where the most number of men live past 100. They also looked at some area like Loma Linda, California, so the Seventh-day Adventists, because they really have a very healthy lifestyle. They also looked at folks in Costa Rica and an island of Greece. So we know.
Let me ask you a question, if I can.
Sure.
What is the common thread there? Is there like a commonality within these groups that
definitely
produce this effect or this longevity?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is, and I'd love to kind of share that. So Please. What they found was that most of these people who lived such a, kind of not only a long life, but high quality of life. And that's really important for seniors, is that you want to be active. You don't want to have limitations on what you can or can't do. And so the common threads, there's several. One was that they ate very similarly. And so what they ate was mostly 80% of their diet was more plant-based.
Okay.
And so that was one thing. It doesn't mean you have to become vegan or vegetarian, but they ate mostly plants. And if they ate meat, for example, in Sardinia, they would have a palm-sized piece of meat once a week. Again, that's personal choice. So I'm not saying like you have to follow that, but that is very characteristics of these folks who live a long, healthy life, is that they eat, what we describe as whole foods. So cutting out sugar, cutting out processed foods, because we know that that's really not so good for your health. And
Cutting out the McDonald's cheeseburgers and French
yes,
fries.
and you
Yeah,
know, the great thing is, like, as soon as you start eating that, it doesn't take long. You're going to have more energy and vitality.
right.
And people see that their numbers, whether it's cholesterol or blood pressure, gets better, like
Yeah.
right away.
I can definitely relate to that because I'd gotten up to almost 275 pounds, and
Mm,
I started on a wellness journey to start exercising and
it's
start.
great.
I started on a Weight Watcher program. You may have seen that video.
Yes.
And man, I'm down almost 40 something pounds. I feel every day I feel a little better, and you can relate it all back to losing weight and eating better.
Oh,
To me,
yes,
um,
exactly.
people just
Exactly.
get in a habit. They get in a habit of not eating well, and then for too long you're overweight and you're sluggish and
Mhm.
you're having illness and having health issues.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a perfect example of, just the transformation that everybody can do
Yeah,
if they choose to. So,
right.
I think that's wonderful.
That's the
And
key point. You have to choose to do it. You have to choose to do
exactly,
it. Yeah.
exactly. And, I know it sounds like people might say, well, it's hard to do. Well, you take one baby step at a time and you
Yeah.
stick with it. You
Yeah.
you make it work for you. So for change, because I'm a trained health coach too,
Mhm.
and so that's my background. People have to really kind of create the vision of where they want to move towards. Like,
Right.
is it that, and is there some desire? Is it because they want to live to see their grandchild graduate from college or something like that?
Right.
And so those are highly motivating, but people have to really think about, well, what are the baby steps I needed to do to take that? So that's
Right.
great. Like, between for you, just changing your health habits, like the exercise, that really helps.
But
And
again, it's baby steps. For me,
mhm,
I started walking around the block. And
perfect.
then I added to that, and then I was able to add, little longer walks, and
Hmm.
I started riding a bike, and you just
Exactly.
you kind of have to start from where you're at, and then bring your levels up as you start to enjoy it. Because I didn't enjoy it at all when I first started. It was
Oh,
tough. Oh
I
man, it
hear
was
you. I hear you.
yeah,
And that's what I try to emphasize for folks, because the other thing, going back to the blue zones, is that these folks are active.
yeah.
And so in the activity, you really have to think about everything you're doing. The worst
Right.
thing, of course, sitting on the couch,
Oh yeah.
for hours and
Sedentary
hours.
lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yeah. You just
exactly.
start
So,
rusting up. You just rust.
right, right.
Everything seizes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's even do housework. Well, that's movement and that's exercise.
Right.
And I love how, like for you, you slowly built up. And
Mhm.
one of the things I tell folks is that they have to find what they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Like, I like walking outside and like enjoying nature, but I'll
Sure.
tell you, I wasn't a big fan of big gyms. But I really found my place when a friend introduced me to Curves, which is a local fitness center for women. And it
Oh,
was
okay.
perfect for me because it was like a
Yeah.
30-minute circuit. There was music, so it's kind of fun. You got to meet people and get to know them. So it was
Right.
different from most other big gyms. And
Yeah.
I like to dance. So I started doing kind of dance-based fitness like jazzercise and Zumba. And that was my thing. But like,
Yeah.
it sounds like you found your kind of paths, and that's great.
Yeah,
Um,
for me, it's I've got my man cave here. I've got my weights and some old exercise equipment I bought when I was a kid. That
oh,
one of
excellent.
them I actually made myself out of a shock absorber. So there are things I like to do, and I like to listen to music. Whenever I ride or I go walk, I listen to my favorite music, and that's something that motivates me and helps me to keep moving. Is
Yes, exactly.
upbeat, up pace music or music
Perfect.
from my youth, that I just
Mm-hmm.
reminisce about things as I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking. And
Yeah.
it really
That
helps.
yeah, those are great strategies. So I'm glad
Yeah,
you're sharing like what worked for you too.
yeah,
And I loved how you kind of mentioned like both, like the walking is really great cardio exercise, and we all need that,
right,
every day. And
right,
American Heart Association, they recommend about 150 minutes of kind of just exercise to get your heart rate up. And
Right.
there are ways that you can measure your heart rate safely and make sure you're getting that target zone, which is
Right
usually
here, the old Fitbit. You know,
Yeah,
I've set a 10,000 step goal every day, and that's a little over 2 miles. And most of the time I'll get that in the morning when I do my exercise, go for my walk or my bike ride, I'll get that. And then it has a heart monitor in it as well. So
good.
Keep track of the heart rate things. So
Right.
So
And
Jenny, what would be something just for the audience here? What would be like 3 things that people could take away that they could do for themselves right away? 3 tips that they could just start from where our interview is here and to start doing for themselves.
I think tip number 1 is take a look at what you're eating, and it goes back to kind of what I was talking about, that sometimes there's a lot of hidden salt, sugar, additives that are really not so good for our health.
Right.
And so we just have to be conscious and aware of what it is that we're eating or putting into our body, because it'll make all the difference.
Yeah.
And
Big Mac, leave the Big Macs alone.
Yes, exactly. So, and it's reading labels. Like generally a good strategy is, if you are going to get something that's maybe a package, look at how many ingredients there are. If it's got 4 or more, hey, what are those extra things they're putting in your body, right?
Right.
So,
salt is a big issue, right? Salt is a
can be.
Sodium salt can be a real challenge for a lot of people. So
you are definitely right.
Yeah.
And that relates to blood pressure. And unfortunately, heart disease is still kind of, the number 1 thing that ends folks' lives, both men and women. And so, and with heart disease, it's linked with blood pressure, which is then related. That's why we care about salt. But it's also tied in with cholesterol, and there's, hidden fats and sometimes food that is packaged as well.
Yeah, so
that's
a lot
why
of saturated fat hidden within packaged foods, that processed foods that you don't even realize unless you read the labels and educate yourself on those things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the nutrition is 1. The second thing is just move.
Yes.
Move, as we talked about. Not only should we be getting that cardio exercise, 150 minutes, and don't, I tell folks, don't worry. It's not as if you got to get there right away. Start with what you can do. Start with what you feel comfortable with. Nobody can just, build up, and if you think that you're having some issue, let's say with a joint, because I see this with a lot of folks, they have shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain. If you can find somebody who you can work with, like some folks will work with a trainer or get some physical therapy, because a lot of times, even though they might have joint pain that limits them from moving, the ideal is that they need to learn how to strengthen the muscles around that joint for it to be safe, because you want to improve flexibility. 2, it'll lessen the pain if you can do it safely and under guidance, let's say with a physical therapist or a trainer. And they'll kind of work with you to see what's happening. But also, what's very important besides the cardio exercise I mentioned before is that most folks, especially after age 30, they start to lose muscle mass.
Yeah.
So you've got to do some strength training. And the recommendation is at least, twice a week that you should do some sort of strength training. Now, if you don't have equipment, that's all right. This is where people can do push-ups against the wall. If they can't do push-ups on the floor.
I did a video the other day. I don't know if you saw it. It was actually for my dad, because he had gotten down on his knees. He had dropped something under his truck, and he's 80. I got to get this right. He's 82. I said he was 83 going on 84, but he's actually 82. I want to make sure you hear this, Dad. He don't look a day over 83. So, but he'll be 83 next month. But he had gotten down on his knees because he dropped something under his truck, and he could not get back up. And he scared, it was hot outside. He was struggling to get up off his feet. He was finally able to do it, but it took him a while, and nobody was around.
Right.
Very scary. So I did a video on exercises that he could do with things in his house, like a couple of bar stools, just getting up and out of his chair,
Yes.
repetitiously, 10 reps of just getting up out of your chair. And I have some bar stools in here, and I did like some movements where he could get up and down and have his hands hovering over some chairs to help support him if he gets off balance. And
that's terrific. Because and I'm glad you brought up the balance, because for
yeah,
seniors, that's what we worry. That's one thing they really need to be mindful about, is
right,
building their core strength so they
yes,
don't fall, and they
right,
can walk, well, and can get up and go. And so
yeah,
doing exercises like squats, you don't need especially special equipment, but I'm glad, that setup you have sounds great.
yeah.
And
It's
so
just
it's
things
really
you can use in your house, a couple of chairs, a couple of bar
right.
stools. And I did it in my shop here, with a couple
Mhm.
of shop benches that I had that are pretty stable. And the main thing is that it's kind of an exercise in balance too, because you can do your squat, or do your step out, kind of a short walking step out lunge,
Mhm.
and some weight over that quadricep, and then hold your hands, instead of using those as balance, just hover over them in case you need them. So it
Mhm.
helps you to practice your balancing at the same
Mhm.
time. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
again, real important for seniors
Oh, yes,
to,
exactly.
to try to exercise for balance. Yeah.
Right, right. And I would say the third thing that's really key for seniors
Mhm.
is connections. And the
Right.
reason why is because, going back to that blue zones, one of the other things that they found for why those folks lived a long life was because they were connected with folks
Oh, okay.
around them. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah. And so that's really key. Like, for example, the in let's say in Italy, these seniors were, let's say, not necessarily just staying at home watching TV. They were out doing things. They were out socializing. And so, and we know that when we hear like the Surgeon General, the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, talk about what some of the health problems are across the country, one of it is loneliness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Some
why
people,
connections is,
they're kind of isolated. As people get older, they kind of
yeah.
isolate themselves and typical example is my parents. My mother, she don't want to do anything. She wants to be at home. She wants to, she does Facebook. We have family functions. We have 3 acres here, and we have a lot of family functions here. And she'll decide to stay home. And I'll say,
Mhm.
no, you're not staying home. I'm going to come get you. You're coming out and you're going to be with family. You cannot just isolate yourself in your
Right,
house.
right.
It's a real struggle for a lot of seniors that
Oh,
have
yes. Right.
socialization is really important,
Hmm.
especially with family and friends. Yeah.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
you know what? I love talking to seniors. They have all these great stories and a lot of wisdom to share. So I learn from my patients. I really enjoy kind of hearing their take and perspective on things, because
Yeah.
they've seen a lot of things and they can tell you a thing or two
Yeah,
about life.
I know it's it. My dad has, we talk a lot, and I thought I had experiences till I get to talking to him, about his high school and his younger years and going through the depression. And, my grandmother, she lived to 102. That's my dad.
Wow. Mhm.
And she was sharp all the way to the end. And she was um, very active. She was an Avon lady, and a lot of walking involved in Avon. And you walked all your route. And I was a kid, I used to go with her. So she would in the small town we lived in, Kermit, Texas. And yeah, she was very active, and she was all about isometrics and trying
Yes.
to and diet. Never got overweight, always in good health. And so she was an
Excellent.
example for me to follow, pretty early on. And
Oh, that's wonderful. And that's what I see. I've mentioned I've had some, older folks, 90s, 100s,
yeah,
a lady who was walking over 100, walking every day.
yeah, yeah. It's so
And she looked like she was in her 60s.
wow.
She looked
Yeah,
amazing. But
yeah,
I've seen the opposite. I've seen folks 40s and 50s that look decades over because they didn't take care of themselves. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. And I really applaud what you're doing, getting seniors active and thriving, because
yeah.
they can absolutely do it. They can actually reverse their conditions. And
Right.
that's part of my message, is that I've known of folks who, even if they struggled with their weight most of their adult life, I have one friend who, when she was 50, she had diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, a lot of just mental health issues, just,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of struggle. But when her mother started having memory problems, she actually discovered that plant-based diet. And over several years, without any pills and surgery, she lost 236 pounds.
Wow.
She
Incredible.
got all her diabetes. I mean, slowly. I mean, you don't want to just
Yeah,
stop all that.
of
That'd be,
course.
you know,
Yeah.
not safe.
For a
But
couple of
over
years.
time,
So.
yeah, over a couple of years. And you know what? A decade later, she still has all that weight off. She feels more energy now than she did, you
Yeah.
know, a decade ago. But
Right.
now she's doing other things. She's teaches yoga, so she's
Oh, wow.
fit. Yeah, and so, you know, there's lots of ways that people can really take care of themselves and learn these skills over time
Right.
and just be healthy and well. And that's our vision is, you know,
So,
that
so your channel is going to be teaching people how to live well as they age prior, so you don't get sick, so you don't get into the you know, the circle of going to the doctor and getting on pills and you know, pills, medicines, whatever, they have their place, but it's better if you don't have to take them because there's
exactly
always side effects
right.
from taking medications and things. I was going to ask you, what about joints, supplements like glucosamine, MSM chondroitin? You know, you always hear that those are good for joint health along with exercise and things. Do you think those are good?
Yeah, they're certainly just fine. And certainly we know that, let's say, if folks are having some joint issues, going with an anti-inflammatory diet, uh, let's say a diet that is more rich in omega-3s, like if you like salmon, tuna, even flax has omega-3s.
Okay. So
There's
seafood then pretty much, salmon, the seafood.
there's other things besides, but so there's a whole
Right.
list of things, you know,
Right.
including plant-based foods that have the omega-3s. There
Oh,
are certainly other things like turmeric that can decrease inflammation. So
that's
yeah, there's a lot of information about how you might be able to work towards, let's say, cutting out joint pain. And
good.
even, for example, tying it back to the weight, a lot of folks, when they lose weight, even 5 or 10 pounds, it is so much less pressure on their joint.
Oh
It
yeah.
is, yeah, it's not a linear a relationship. You just lose a little bit more, you have a lot less pressure on your joints.
Right.
And so that makes a big
I can
difference.
attest to that. I had terrible. I've had 3 knee surgeries, and a lot of that's from football and athletics. When I was younger, you know, you wear your joints out, but a lot of it had to do with weight. It was all the
Mhm.
extra weight I was carrying. I did in the video I did about the Weight Watchers program. If anybody wants to start that process, Weight Watchers is a good way to start. It helps you retrain how you think about food. But
Exactly.
for me, it was, you know, getting that weight off. And I could tell, yeah, I equate it like you know, 275 to 225 is where I'm at now. That's, what is that, 50 pounds?
Yeah, that's
75, you
great.
know, that's 50 pounds. Just think about carrying a 50-pound bag of concrete around with you everywhere you go. Man, that'll wear you out. That'll wear your joints
Yes,
out right there. You know,
yes,
just
yes.
having that extra stress on all your joints, your hips, your knees, ankles, everything. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you know, for a lot of folks, I know, you know, some people they can do on their own. Some people just need extra support, and that's all right. And what we're becoming to realize, because I'm also board certified in obesity medicine and lifestyle medicine, is that
That's great.
obesity is considered actually a chronic disease.
Mhm.
So it's not that you can't do it or you can't control, you know, some folks do have some control of their trouble with controlling eating, but it is lots of things around us that is contributing to the weight problem, from stress.
Yeah,
Stress is a big factor for a lot of folks
right.
in weight gain.
And
It can
sleep too. I know if you don't get enough sleep, it can, you know, cause
exactly,
you to gain weight or hold weight on and not be able to lose it, right?
exactly. And
Yeah.
so and I'm glad you brought that up because that is another pillar of being a lifestyle medicine doctor. You know, we have several pillars that we already talked about: nutrition and exercise and connections, but sleep
Right.
That is a big one, because some people, especially if they're carrying extra weight, they might have a medical condition called sleep apnea that
Yeah.
they could get diagnosed with and may need treatment.
Yeah.
And yes, if they lose a weight, they may be able to reverse it, but it's not a guarantee, because I've seen normal weight people who have sleep apnea. It has to do with anatomy and aging and all that. So, but
Well,
the bottom.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The bottom thing is just to get checked out, especially if you think you should be getting plenty of sleep. Let's say, 7 to 9 hours, and you're still tired when you wake up. That's not normal, and there's something that's going on that needs to be checked out.
I had severe sleep apnea, and I tried I'd wake up with headaches, and I wake up, kind of panic because I wasn't breathing. I'd wake up and, and really, really suffered with it for a while. I had a deformity in my jaw that pushed against my you basically closed my airway off.
Yes.
And I tried the CPAP and every kind of CPAP known to man, and I could not get it to get calmed down. I ended up having a jaw surgery and a facial surgery that pulled my face out almost a full inch. 6 plates, 26 screws in my face, and it cured it, but it was
good.
I had to have 4 teeth extracted so they could pull my face forward. It was like a 3-year process, but
wow,
man, it helped. I mean, it's the only thing that I was able to do that helped me. So.
Right. And, well, I'm glad that you got that treated, because the reason why there's some people who think the CPAP is great. They sleep better. They have no more headaches, because that's a common kind of symptom with sleep apnea, is that morning headache. But the other thing that we worry about, especially when you have that chronic low oxygen and you can't tolerate the CPAP, is that your body's under stress. There's a lot more inflammation. We know that people with the untreated sleep apnea, they're going to have more trouble with heart problems, such as increased risk for stroke and heart attacks and heart rhythm problems like atrial fibrillation, and they're going to have blood pressures. Yes,
Right.
that's
what
not
I had was this was kind of because I was having atrial fibrillation terrible. I mean, I went to, I don't know how many times I went to the hospital thinking I was dying because my heart would not stop fluttering. It was awful. Most scariest thing I've ever been through. And they diagnosed with that. And part of that was the sleep, treating the sleep apnea. And then after that, I had to have a 12-hour heart procedure where they went in up through your clavicle veins and arteries and up through the groin to get into the heart and get to the wiring, I guess, where you're having the short circuits that cause the AFib. And and they fixed it. I mean,
good. That's excellent.
Got it fixed. Yeah, it was a miracle for me, because it was it had really stopped a lot of the things I was doing, because I didn't know when it would trigger it, so it kept me from exercising, kept me from doing a lot of things, because I'd be in the gym working out and it would start in, and scary stuff. So yeah, everybody out there, if you have that, get it corrected. There are ways to correct it. So for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just couldn't tolerate CPAP. Just couldn't do it. I don't know how many of them I threw across the wall. Put a hole in my wall with one of them, because I just it was torture. But anyway, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, very good stuff. For sure. But if anybody out there is suffering from AFib or sleep apnea, they definitely want to get it treated, because it's life-threatening for sure.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So those are pretty good keys. We're talking about diet, getting the weight off, moving. You don't want to rust up, folks. You got to keep moving, no matter what that is. You want to keep your muscles strong, to keep your joints supported, and supplements for joint health. I take MSN chondroitin, and it's called Flex. It's a pretty good supplement, and that helps. I mean, I take that every day, and it's definitely helped my knees. And so anyway, it's good stuff. So Jennie, your vision for your channel, are you going to be offering coaching? Is it going to be videos about topics for healthier lifestyle? How is it going to evolve, do you see?
Right. Well, the Wellness Visions, I just set up this YouTube channel. Love for folks to subscribe to it.
Yeah,
But
we'll definitely put a link down in the bottom so you can go to Jennie's Wellness Vision YouTube channel and check it out. We'd like for you guys to go there and subscribe and give her comments. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll put the link up in the description.
Right. And part of kind of my mission is to help people kind of empower their own health and the way they're living their life to one that they really kind of love to live in and kind of dream about. And so for me, especially with my background as a health and wellness coach, coupled with my years taking care of folks, I really want to help them move towards that vision of how they can be really kind of living their best life. And for me, developing that wellness vision is a driver, because we all know, yes, we could lose some weight or, try to, let's say, get healthier so we don't have the health problems. But sometimes what really gets people motivated and excited is like the vision they create of themselves and where they want to be. But for me, it's going to be a combination of providing education to folks, because there's a lot of information out there that's not correct. And so it is confusing to know, and for me, I'm really about what's the evidence, what's the science behind it. And so that education is key. But two, I will be offering some coaching. And Billy, I'm going to be eventually setting up a Facebook group so I'd love to, for people to just, one, check out the information on the channel, but two, they can eventually kind of join a private YouTube group for us to be doing a little more kind of interactive. Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sign up for that for sure.
Right. So we'll delve into the more of the how, because even though YouTube is great at information, sometimes getting to the nuts and bolts of what you actually need to do is really helpful. So that's what that will be about with that Facebook group. And
you can have more of a conversation with people about their individual needs and things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That'd be wonderful.
And that Facebook group is also really key, because that goes back to kind of what we were talking about. Connections is so important. We can relate, we're not alone. Others are kind of in the same boat, trying to work out the same thing. But the third thing I will offer is actually some one-on-one private coaching for those who would like it and who think, and that might be for however long they think that they will need it. But from the perspective, changing behaviors, we know that it might take some time. It may depend on what it is, but it may take anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. And so if coaching is something that will help you just shift the needle or just get over that hump or whatever it takes to kind of get you there, I'd love to kind of work with folks about that.
Yeah, that's great, man. That is a great vision for people. I hope they all check it out, because I know I will for sure. And your first video, your vision of on your first YouTube video was wonderful. The vision you're laying forward for folks. So, but yeah, man, I hope all you guys will check it out. People in this audience we're trying to pull more folks in to be fit, to be active as they age, and so important. And it's just good stuff, Jennie. I appreciate you coming on today.
Well, thank you so much. It's really an honor to be talking to your audience and just sharing information. And I think we have a common mission to bring people up.
Right. Bring people up, get them into that healthy lifestyle so they can feel better and live longer and live healthier and a more quality of life so they can enjoy their life and their families. How can you enjoy your grandchildren and great-grandchildren if you're sitting over in a chair and you can't get up and move? So important. Well, Jennie, thanks for coming on today. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate it. Folks, we're going to put the link to all of Jennie's information down in the description. You had mentioned that National Geographic. Is there a link that we could put in to offer folks to look at that? Yes, we certainly can share information about the Blue Zones Project. Okay, very good. We'll do that. And Jennie, thank you so much. And it's great to have a comrade in this, the struggle to get people healthy and start living well. It's really great. Hopefully we can collaborate on some other things, and I'd love to. All right. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Jennie. We appreciate you coming on. And I'm going to tell everybody bye, and Jenny will too, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for coming.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you
Take
all.
care. Okay.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.